In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I seal my alcohol ink art, both on yupo paper and ceramic. So stick around, that's coming up next. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Art with J. Monteith. And today I am covering a topic that is something that comes up all the time. This is probably the most asked question that happens to me, and that is, how do I seal my alcohol inks? So today I'm totally covering this question and answering it to the best of my ability, and I want to share with you how I seal my yupo paper and how I seal these little vases that I created last week. So if you missed that video on how to make these super pretty alcohol ink containers, then I will leave the link in the description box or the video box here, and you can check that out before you get to this step. So this question, as I said, comes up all the time. It's there's a lot of information out on the internet, and some of it's quite confusing. So this particular method works for me the best. Just take this information with a grain of salt, because just because I tell you this is what works doesn't mean it's going to work for you necessarily. And of course, please always test your pieces first. Don't go ahead and try all of these things on your finished work, because I wouldn't want your pieces to be ruined if you haven't tested them first, okay? Most of this information has come from the Facebook group that I belong to, which is the Alcohol Ink Art Community on Facebook. It is a wonderful community of alcohol ink artists. It has 20,000 plus members. So if you have any questions about alcohol ink, you're new to alcohol ink, and you'd like to learn more, then I highly recommend joining this group. And I'll leave the link to that group in the description box below. And of course, as always, I'll leave a link to all of the products that you can purchase that I'm going to be featuring here today. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and just explain to you the products that I use and why I use them. So as most of you know, if you follow me on social media and you subscribe to my channel, then I do all of my work on yupo paper, and I tend to resin it after. So I'm not going to be resining today. I'm just going to be showing you how to seal the yupo paper just on its own, and then how to seal these. But if you are interested in knowing how to resin and the products that I use, then I will leave again a link to that video on how you can achieve a flawless resin finish over your yupo. This is the brand that I use. It's Art Resin. I feel this to be the best on the market. In my opinion, it has low VOCs, so hardly any odor, and it has added UV protection and HALs, so it helps with anti-fading, discoloration, and yellowing over time. So I tend to skip sealing my yupo paper with any types of sprays when I'm using Art Resin. I don't always use that. But if you want to take the added step, then of course you can still use the products that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Okay, so the very first thing that I do for yupo is that I use the brand Legion for yupo paper. That's the particular yupo paper brand that I like to use. And then for inks, as a lot of you will know, I choose to use the Jacquard Pinata color line. I feel these inks are superior in color vibrancy. I never have any issues with them. You know, they're truly a great product in that they don't run, they don't fade. There are a lot of issues out there with different brands, so you really have to, you know, try which ones work best for you. But this is my favorite, and I've never had any problem with it. So I stick with Jacquard. So this is what I have on this particular yupo paper, is Jacquard only. And then that goes for these as well. I've used the Jacquard Pinata colors here. Okay, so the products that I like to use for spraying and sealing these two particular types of substrates are by Krylon. That is the Kamar finish, or Kamar finish, however you'd like to pronounce it, as well as the UV Archival. These are the two used or mostly used sprays by a lot of alcohol ink artists. And I tend to agree. I find that these seem to work really, really well. A third product that a lot of people use in conjunction with these products is also called Triple Thick. I'm not using that today. So I will just show you technically, or specifically, what I use or how I apply these particular sprays. Okay, so for yupo paper, I like to use just the UV Archival because, as I mentioned before, I resin. But if you're not resining, then I would recommend that you use both of these products, okay? And the debate is out on whether you spray this one first or this one first. I really don't think it matters. Some people say that if you spray the UV Archival first, that the inks will shift. That hasn't happened to me, and again, I think that is primarily because I use the Jacquard brand. I think it's a superior brand and it's high in quality, so I never have any issue with that. So I tend to start with this one. So this, again, the UV Archival, you want to spray both of these products really, really well for a couple of minutes. So once you've sprayed it or shaken the container for a couple of minutes, you just want to make sure that the nozzle is free and clear of any buildup. Sometimes the nozzles get a little bit gunky, so that's really important that you check that first. And then after you finish shaking it, then just spray off to the side to make sure that you get a clear spray coming out, because the last thing you want is to actually spray onto your, pieces and you get these chunks coming out. That's just not going to be good. So this one is in semi-gloss format. I really like this particular sheen. And the key here is to just spray at an angle in a very soft, delicate motion. You don't want to spray too far away or too closely. If you spray too far back, then what happens is by the time the actual product hits the surface, it's drying midstream and you get a lot of like bits and particles drying onto your yupo paper, and then you don't get a nice fine finish. So it's really important that you just kind of go over it really, really lightly. And then once you've done it, don't overkill it, just let it be, let it sit for a couple of hours and then reapply. So let each coat dry in between prior to applying the next coat. And essentially you can't really go wrong with applying, more than one coat. A lot of people apply 2 or 3 of each. So whatever works for you. So once that is dry and you've done several coats, then you do the exact same thing with the Kmart finish. It's exactly the same technique, okay? So that's how you apply that to yupo. And then the next step, of course, or the next substrate here is on the ceramic. So I've got the glossy ceramic here, and the same thing applies exactly the same way. You just want to take your time and just, I'll spray the Kmart this time, just in a light motion. You don't want to overkill it, and let it sit and dry and finish it that way. So go over with 2 or 3 coats. And again, if you want to finish it with the protection of the UV, then feel free, and then that will prevent it from fading and discoloring and that sort of thing over time. Okay, you cannot put these, I wouldn't anyway, in the dishwasher. A lot of people have used their alcohol inks on wine glasses and things like that. And these products are not food safe, so they're not meant for you to spray and seal and then use them for drinking or eating out of. So these projects that I've been showing you are not food products. I use these to hold brushes and pens and things like that. If you're going to be using products for food safety, you want to eat or drink out of, then you have to use a completely different product. You have to use the ceramic products meant for ceramic that you can bake in the oven, and then they are dishwasher safe and food safe. Okay, so that is essentially how I finish my yupo paper and how I finish my ceramic work. That's it. So very, very simple, these products. And then if you're going to finish with resin, especially on ceramic, just make sure you've applied lots and lots of layers because you don't want your inks to run or fade when you're applying resin, especially over ceramic. So that's it today, guys. I hope I've answered your questions with regards to sealing your artwork with these particular products and how you go about doing that. If you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them in the description box below. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for weekly art tips, and we will see you guys again real soon. Thanks for watching.